But this is exciting because this is something that's coming to Baltimore here next week. And a man to help explain what's coming to Baltimore is now he's becoming a friend of mine here. Let's bring on from behind the curtain. I think my wording's better here, Brad. Yeah. Well, let's bring on Mr. John Solomon. John, how we doing?
Good. How you doing, Ryan?
I am good. Sorry for the delay. We were trying to figure out or explain to people that Adley's still very good at baseball. And so far, the Orioles are finding ways. Did you stay up to watch that whole game last night?
I did. I felt a little drunk afterwards, man. That was wild. that was
well, I think we felt the exact same way, and we actually did I told the guys, if we're going to do a stream, I am lucid right now. I'm going to be laying down, and Kevin over here actually read me a bedtime story, which was actually coincidentally the back of a popcorn bag, but that's for a whole different thought. But actually, we were talking about this for a while, John, and I think this is something that's really cool coming to Baltimore here. But why don't we just start with this? There's the Aspen Institute's Project Play Initiative, and the Project Play Summit is what's coming to Baltimore next week. I believe it's on Tuesday and Wednesday. First obvious question, John. No one can answer this better than you. What is Project Play?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Aspen Institute, we're a nonprofit in Washington, D.C., with an initiative called Project Play, which identifies solutions to grow quality access to sports for children. Increasingly in recent years, just not enough kids are playing for a number of reasons that we can talk about: cost, transportation, pressure, lack of access, don't feel welcome. And we really try to dive deep into research and also into bringing key leaders together in communities and people across the country to identify, okay, how do we get more quality access to kids for physical activity in sports because of all the great benefits that come from playing sports. And so next week in Baltimore, we're bringing our annual youth sports conference called the Project Play Summit on Tuesday and Wednesday with a great lineup of speakers. This is, people like Maryland football coach Mike Loxley, Governor Wes Moore, Fox NFL broadcaster Greg Olson, Paralympian Tatiana McFadden, Torrey Smith, former Baltimore Ravens star, Hall of Famer, I think you may know, someone named Cal Ripken. He'll be there.
No.
It's just someone named Cal Ripken. And we're just really excited to be in Baltimore, in large part because it's the home of where our first, what we call State of Play community report was back in 2017. We've done 12 of these reports across the country, and they're deep dives looking at what are the barriers and what are the opportunities to get kids more access to sports.
I love that, by the way. Maybe about Calvin Edwin being there, that's maybe we might be out on that now. But overall, in all seriousness, it's a hell of a lineup. It's an unbelievable initiative in general, just because, we've talked about, I know we'll talk about this in a little bit here, because we've talked about how baseball has been shifted recently with injuries. It starts at a younger age, but just out of curiosity here, when we're younger, I always wanted to just play the game for the love of it, right? And is that still kind of the case for kids? It seems like, I know everyone expects their kids to be the next star, and that'd be great. But you guys, I think, are even doing more polls about what the kids actually want.
Yeah, I mean, our strategy at Project Play, our number one strategy is ask kids what they want. And it sounds really simple, but not enough adults actually do it. Not enough parents, not enough coaches, not enough sports administrators. What is it that kids actually want out of their sports experience? And when we survey youth in every community that we're in, or in national surveys, the top reasons that they say they play sports are to be with friends and to have fun. And winning games and chasing college athletic scholarships ranks much lower. That's not to say you don't necessarily pursue those, right? There's nothing wrong with healthy competition, but it's having balance, right? It's putting it in perspective. And for the vast majority of kids, chasing the scholarships or winning games is not the biggest reason why they play. But too often adults are sort of turning kids into mini pro athletes really before their bodies, minds, and interests have been allowed to grow. And we've got some research through the years that shows that the average child quits sports by around age 11, and it's because it stops being fun.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's talking about stops being fun here. Zach, go ahead.
Well, why do you think that, from what you guys have seen, is it because parents are now forcing it to be it's a winning is the most important part, or why is it around that age?
Yeah, it's part of it is we just have a very convoluted system that's really not very connected, and there's not a lot of oversight to it. It's just sort of all over the place, sort of a wild, wild west a little bit. Youth sports, there aren't really standards, there aren't policies, and so anyone can sort of do whatever they want. And there's quite a bit of money to be made in youth sports. It's highly commercialized these days, and I say highly commercialized and not highly professionalized, because if it was professionalized, there would be a lot of standards. So in recent decades, more and more parents, as college tuition has gone up, right, and understandably so, parents want what's best for their child, right? They want their child to get into college. They want them to have success. And they are in this system that doesn't really have a lot of boundaries, and you just sort of keep up with the Joneses, right? It's sort of word of mouth of what you hear of what you should be doing in youth sports. You hear from parents, okay, you need to go play with that particular team, and you need to specialize in your sport all year round, even though there's research showing that can increase burnout and overuse injuries. And so it's this chase, and we actually hear from a lot of parents, particularly like travel sports parents, who would like to get off this sort of arms race. They'd like to spend less money. They like to maybe not spend as much time in their sport, but they don't know how. They don't know how to get off it. And so what we often promote at Project Play is we need more affordable, quality, and local sports programming, because it also, the other issue is it creates sort of a haves versus have-nots of who can actually access sports. And it's really creating a divide based on household income.
Yeah, you know what? I was just thinking about this for a second. All the things, I remember all the tournaments I went to as a kid, and I always felt like I had to do more and more and more to get noticed, and that it's applied more and more stress. I loved to go play places because I wanted the competition, not because I felt like it was going to take me to this next level, right? But I think for every parent or any kid out there, you're sitting there going, what the heck do I do, and how do I continue to go? Because what the average age that kids stop playing, John, is what for sports that they're done?
Age 11.
Age 11.
Yeah.
Kevin, did you stop because of that, or just because T-ball became too much?
Well, I kept getting injured, but actually my dream was first baseman, and I obviously did not grow tall enough to be a first baseman. But
what'd you grow tall enough to be?
I'm also a lefty, so I can't play as an infielder.
You would be a lefty.
I mean, if memory serves, Rip was a lefty.
Yes, I'm a lefty
and played the infield. Is that correct?
I did.
He played first.
I can play first, but what he's saying
you
is
can't play second, third, or short.
I know. I'm just.
Well, according, you can't play catcher either, Kevin, but we have some photos of that recently. So we will bring that up in a little bit. But one of the other topics I know you guys are going to touch on the, I'm assuming with all the people, because at least of me, I know one of the guys' perspectives on it with playing multiple sports. I think all of us, at least hands up, you guys indulge in other sports, hands up over here. Yep. Right.
Multiple.
Yes.
Yep.
So I think that is one of the most fascinating topics to me nowadays. And I thought if I tried to play baseball the entire year, my whole life, I'd have been miserable. I mean, low key, John, if I was 6'8", I might have just played basketball, to be honest. I loved playing other sports, and that's something of a burnout you alluded to with a lot of these young kids as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we encourage multi-sport sampling for as long as you can, particularly, through at least like middle school. And certainly when you get a little bit older, you may want to specialize in a particular sport and you feel like you're really good at it or you enjoy it more. But what's happening is at really young ages, I mean, we're talking 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, parents are having their kids play one sport year round. So take like baseball, for example, which we all love. It's just playing travel tournaments year round, or in multiple different leagues. And maybe you're playing 10 to 12 months. And we know all the research that shows that can lead to overuse injuries. It can lead to burnout. And what happens then to those children? For the most part, we know they're most likely not going to make it, right? Like it's incredibly long odds to make their college, much less to make it professionally. And even high school teams these days, depending on where you live, can be really difficult to make unless you're spending a lot of money on travel teams. So what happens if you're playing baseball year round and when we talk about age 11, right? The average age a child quits, and what sports can they fall back on? All they've played is baseball this whole time. Where do they turn? And the answer is, sadly, for a lot of them, they don't, right? They haven't been exposed to other sports. Their sports experience may have been bad as well. So why would they even want to try it? And they may be so far behind in skill development. And so we lose them at younger and younger ages.
You know, one thing that actually, maybe it's for anyone that's listening out there, I saw a scout he wanted to come look at when I was giving lessons at the baseball warehouse. They came to come see the kid play or to just take swings. Sorry. And the question that he asked wasn't how hard are you hitting the ball? What was your stats? It was, do you play any other sports? That was the question. Do you play any other sports? And he goes up, well, because we value guys that are able to be multi-sport athletes because you learn a lot and you teach yourself other skills that can make you in the long run better athletes and better baseball players, and that's actually how I was growing up with. That was the philosophy that I had, John, growing up, because look, I mean, I didn't know at the time. I thought, well, I'll go back. I mean, my perception, Calvin gave me the worst understanding of perception in the world. If we actually think about it, he made me think that everyone's dad was a baseball player when I was a kid. I'm like, everybody's dad plays baseball. And you're like, oh, that's not the case. And then you're like, oh, well, everyone's dad, they play for 20 years too. That is certainly not the case at all. So I'm setting myself up going, dude, this is very unrealistic. And even when I went through the college experience, I'm sitting there going, oh man, this is a whole different world. This is a whole different stress. And that was something that he didn't experience. And that's no knock to it, right? But the more information you know to help, I think is what this is all about, right, John? Like, it's just all about getting people together, people that have been through it at the highest levels, to explain what their experiences were.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we want it to be fun. We want it to be enjoyable. I mean, think about it in any other part of our life, particularly like as a child, right? Like, to get a child to eat broccoli, right? Like, you're not going to be successful by just force feeding it into them, right? Like, it has to be enjoyable. You have to listen to what your child wants out of the sports experience as well, and be willing to, alter the path a little bit. It may not be the path that as a parent you're expecting or you're hoping, but with my kids, I've tried to listen to them of what they want out of their sports experiences. We have had a rule that you're not going to quit during the season, right? You're going to finish out the season, but at the end of any season, let's reevaluate. Do you still want to play baseball, or do you want to do soccer or basketball? And it's just a healthier mindset, and let the child's interests and needs lead where you go. And if they're leading towards a competitive pathway, great. And there's then go down that road with an eye towards hopefully not burning them out, but trying to pressure them into doing things that they don't want is not going to work. And the reality is, even if you're not saying it intentionally as a parent, kids aren't dumb. Like, kids notice. Kids know how much time or money your parents are putting into a particular sport. And then they sort of sometimes then self-identify that, oh my God, my parents are spending so much time and money on this. I've got to be successful. I've got to do well. And that's just not healthy for them either.
Yeah, I think this is the big part here that Victoria is talking about. Things can be expensive or whatever it is, but the biggest thing is passion. You got to have passion for whatever you do. And if you don't have the passion, it's going to make it really hard. Like, if you have passion for this case, I don't know why I would think of this, John, but if you had passion to throw cat birthday parties, you would throw a cat birthday party, whatever the cost would be. Right, Kevin? John, have you ever been to a cat birthday party?
I have not.
Oh, well, we haven't either, but we can live vicariously through our friend Kevin over here. And Kevin, actually, besides that he can give you a lesson or two on how to throw one, I think he actually has a baseball related question kind of dealing with the youth in Major League Baseball. And it's been really a hot topic specifically this year.
Yeah, John, I think one of the biggest conversations in baseball this year has just been these pitching injuries for a lot of the major league pitchers. I mean, here in Baltimore, obviously Kyle Bradish with his elbow injury. We've seen a bunch of elbow soreness and guys getting shut down for a specific amount of time. But it goes far beyond just, the MLB level. This goes all the way down to youth sports and just kind of how much pressure there is to almost say, hey, if you can't throw hard, then the pathway to you making a college team, getting a scholarship, or making the pros, it's a lot more difficult. So what are you kind of seeing with these major league injuries, and how do you relate it back to the youth level in terms of how hard some of these kids are pressured into throwing?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's smarter baseball people than me who can explain all of exactly why all these MLB injuries are happening. And there's, my understanding, there's lots of different reasons, including the increase in velocity. But I think what's not getting talked about enough is the wear and tear that these MLB pitchers have been putting on through their whole lives, right? Going back to childhood, because these kids are specializing in one sport year round at early ages. Think how many more throws and pitches that they are putting on their shoulder and their elbow at younger ages. Think of the velocity that they're trying to throw at younger ages, or the types of pitches, breaking balls, curveballs, sliders, that maybe you shouldn't be throwing until you're a little bit older and you're more developed. There was a study, it was like in 2015, that showed that the fastest growing segment of patients undergoing Tommy John surgery were 15 to 19-year-olds. Right. And if I think about that, and like anecdotally, I've heard increased Tommy Johns for 11 and 12-year-olds, right? And the common theme is the overuse from single sport specialization and year-round throwing.
That is wild to actually like hear that out loud. And I'm trying to think at that age, you know, my dad was making me throw this loopy curveball if I wanted to, and it really wasn't an actual curveball, because he's like, you know what, I'd rather you learn how to throw a fastball and a changeup, because we're not going to mess with your arm until you're ready, you know, and you're not ready. And a lot of these kids aren't ready. And oh gosh, it kind of grinds my gears with it, but this is why I'm so excited about it. So I know on Tuesday I'll be there. And before we wrap up, we'll get all the details for people to where to sign this up. We'll put this in the link on the live. We'll clip this conversation so people can go back to it. I'll actually try to the link actually that you sent me, John, in the email. Is that the best link to use?
Yep.
That you sent me? Okay. Well, I am going to put that in the chat right now if I can know how to do this. While we're doing this then, though, because now this is not baseball related, this is not sports related here, but it is a hard-hitting question, John, and nobody gives the hard-hitting questions more than Brad. So if you're ready, Brad, take it away.
Yeah, that's right. So, John, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate the awareness that you're giving to our audience. But as Ryan said, the hard-hitting questions are my game. So today's hard-hitting questions brought to you by Stuggies, and it is John, you know, everybody goes to the baseball game, everybody goes gets hot dogs, but not everybody treats them the same. And so my question to you, sir, is what kind of condiments you putting on your dog at the ball game?
Oh man, I had a feeling this was coming. I watch your show. All right.
Oh.
I hope I'm not going to get blasted for this, but I just eat it plain, man. I eat it plain. I'm good. Ryan, you're with me?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I mean, I will say I do love the crab mac and cheese hot dog, but I don't consider
that's not.
It's a specialty dog. It's not a condiment.
That's a topping.
That's a topping. It's not a condiment. But John, see, yes, if I could give you a high five through the screen, I would. That's amazing. Yeah, we got you right here. Got me.
Yep.
Boom.
Let me just say this.
Oh, no.
We interviewed Eric DeCosta on Tuesday, and multiple times he said it was both strange and weird that you eat a plain hot dog. So, I don't know. Feel like I'm going with his opinion over.
Well, okay. Aren't we all under the same? This is my opinion here, John, is that if you can't eat a dog plain, do you really like hot dogs? Like, do you really like them?
I will eat a plain hot dog. I will do it. I like it.
Of course.
But my top is relish. But I think my ranking is relish, plain, ketchup, mustard.
Okay.
That's me.
That's it.
Everyone's really disgusted over here in this room with me. Besides, Kevin's actually giving some love.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, Brad just can't look at me.
Now taking the skin off the hot dog is a different conversation.
Okay, that was again years ago, and when you choke on one, then that's a problem.
Well, I understand why, but I'm just saying.
And we outgrew it, Kevin.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, John. I'm sorry. This is the hard-hitting questions, by the way. And actually, then you know what? Maybe at the game next week we can talk a little bit more. Hopefully, we can catch up more at the actual O's game next week. Would be great. But before I let you get out of here, then can you just tell people I put that link in there, but for those to hear it, where can people either try to sign up to see any of this so they don't miss what's happening on May 14th and May 15th?
Yep. So at our website, projectplay.org, we've got links to our Project Play Summit agenda, and there's a way to sign up for the live stream. We're only live streaming May 15th, next Wednesday, but you'll be able to see sessions with Governor Wes Moore, Mike Loxley, Greg Olson, Brandon Scott, Tatiana McFadden, Kevin Plank. So a lot of great speakers. And also at projectplay.org, just a lot of great resources and stuff as well for anyone out there who wants research or wants tips about how to navigate through youth sports. We have a lot of material there.
Awesome. That is great. And we will share it to those that are wondering, because I have seen some comments about people that have had that stress. And again, like at the end of the day, we were talking about more ways to expand past just our banter here, which the banter's fun, but there's a lot of real life stuff that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I just think this event's awesome. I can't wait to be over there. I think I'm going to be over there on that Tuesday. And who knows what's going to happen here. But John, I appreciate you. Harmless. Okay. You're okay with us?
All
Still
good.
Like Kevin? Okay.
No, all good, man. I want to hear more analysis, particularly about Corbin Carroll, because he's on my fantasy baseball team. So
oh, no. Well, I hope he
He's on
doesn't
mine,
wake
too.
up this week.
Yeah, not this weekend. Not this
No.
weekend, but the other.
Any other weekend he should. I mean, it should be a fun series, though. I tell a lot of people the talent. You got to let me know, too, John, who you want me to break down. You've been silent on me. I need to know more. You got to let me know.
Who have you not broken down lately? Who's still left out there?
It was today between Kyle Brash and Adley Rutschman, and the people voted Adley Rutschman. Someone asked for Gunnar Henderson lefties. Did that one. We do a know your foe, so we do an opposing player each time they come to town or on the road. So
what about Kimbrel with his problems, right? I mean, I know it's challenging, but like look at what was he doing well early the first month of the season versus is there anything
that is
right now?
You know what? This is why I need you to help produce this right here. Kevin, help. No, I'm kidding. That was on me. I made the choice, but that is it. I think we found the next one, guys.
Yeah.
I think we found the next
idea.
one. John is now a correspondent of the Ryan Ripken Show, just like that. Well, John, I appreciate you taking the time. I will reach out to you soon. I will bother you soon. And let me know if there's anything else that I can add and plug so everyone knows where to find the event. And again, one more time here, it is the Project Play Summit that is coming to Baltimore on May 14th and 15th. We are going to have the link for the live on May 15th and all the information that you could possibly have of what's going on. Did I miss anything, John?
Nope. That's it. And thanks for having me, Ryan. Really appreciate you having me on and spending the time talking about this.
We appreciate you, and go Birds, baby. Love the towel in the back. Great towel. Looks great. Go Birds, and we'll talk soon. All right.
All right. Take care.
John Solomon, everybody.
Hey.
Appreciate you.